product provided by Nintendo. A bit late to the party, but glad to be back in the swing of things. Sorry for the lack of uploads lately. The last few weeks were a bit hectic. But enough of that. Today we are looking at Fire Emblem Warriors. Now, full disclosure, we were pleasantly surprised when the game was formally revealed, since Fire Emblem has made something of a comeback in recent memory, with Fire Emblem Awakening basically saving the series, and the later Fates establishing it as a core Nintendo franchise. Suddenly everyone was at least aware of the whole waifu craze, and as a result of the success we have actually seen a few spin-offs. One is the Tokyo Mirage Sessions XFE, a title that is totally not Animate the Mistake the game, and the other is Fire Emblem Warriors. So with that being said, let's dive in and check it out. To start out with, if you have played Hyrule Warriors or any of the other Dynasty Warriors games, this will be fairly familiar territory. Essentially, you are a badass commander hacking and slashing, dropping enemies harder than Radiant Dawn sails, and wow, sorry about that. But that's not all there is, of course. The enemy commanders and fort captains can and do put up a fight and keep gameplay engaging, but in essence, this is a power fantasy. Now, before we dive into the mechanics, I want to look at some of the menu options that you will see starting the game. I bring this up because these are important since some do change how the game is actually played, along with what goes on when you get into the post-game. First off, Fire Emblem fans will notice there is a casual and classic mode. Classic mode entails permadeath for allies, unless you're willing to sacrifice some in-game resources and currency to bring them back. So if you want to have some of that familiar Fire Emblem risk involved, this is probably a good mode for you. Though I will admit I'm a bit too reckless for this and opted for casual, but for those of you who might overlook it, there is a mode for graphics which I honestly got to say caught me a bit off guard. Though I will admit I personally don't see much of a difference, though that might just be my own fault. I still find it an interesting addition nonetheless. On the performance side of things, the game also seems to sacrifice nothing in gameplay on the go or at home. It did seem to drain more battery though, I might have lost track of time, but the game is kind of addicting. There are the basic difficulty modes and even an insane difficulty unlocked after completing the main campaign. And since this game likely came into existence due to the appeal of Hyrule Warriors, I will be comparing the title to it, mostly as a closer frame of reference. I will say though, in terms of gameplay, I actually prefer Fire Emblem's approach. There is a decent cast, but too many sword wielders for my liking. And coming from playing other games throughout the Fire Emblem franchise, I kinda wish there were more character diversity in terms of weaponry. Also on that note, I hope there would be more characters found in older Fire Emblem games, since the cast is mostly dominated by those found in newer titles. Personally, I would love to see more Sacred Stones or Radiant characters. Honestly, I was a bit surprised that Ike didn't make the cut here. But, oh well. As for the specials and awakenings, there are huge attacks, but most of them are just really cool. Now, there is a new feature that deserves recognition, the pairing system, which gives you cool attacks through the form of paired combos. Like in the Fire Emblem franchise, building rapport with your allies net you great bonuses. Not only does it build up your relationship, it also allows for awesome team attacks that can at times destroy enemy commanders in one fatal blow. Pairing also nets you the benefit of having someone defend for you, and allows you to send people out for attacks. Though I have played a few Dynasty Warriors games, I can't say I've seen something like this, and it is fairly interesting. I won't spoil anything, but for Fire Emblem fans, there is a point to rebuilding relationships in the game. It's not major, but I think it's cool purely as a neat little touch. As for the main story, it is good for a Dynasty Warriors setup. But for a Fire Emblem fan, it leaves a great deal to be desired. The story is there and I enjoyed it, but at times it felt rushed in the twists I saw long before they happened. There are a few twists longtime Fire Emblem fans will catch, just like how Zelda fans knew who Sheik was before that reveal. Though I think the story is more of a love letter to the fans, similar to how it was in Hyrule Warriors. Again, I hate to keep comparing this game to Hyrule Warriors, but both are built rather similarly. Talking about characters though, you can guide them on the battlefield to guard or take targets, to guard other characters, or even to pair them up while you continue to carve through enemies. This is likely one of my favorite inclusions because it forces me to think while I'm fighting, and allows me to not just be a one-man army, which was my main complaint in Hyrule Warriors. It felt like I had to do everything. And with this inclusion, the game helps me focus on tasks that I wish to complete first. The leveling system and the crest system I think will cause the most interest for new players of these types of games, because not only can you boost your defenses and attacks, but you can help make up for your character's weaknesses. Even more interesting to me is, like in most Fire Emblem games, you can boost your class into the next level. This nets you a new costume and a major boost to your stats. This is prompted through Master Seals, which there are enough to boost every character, but they are harder to gain, forcing you to pick and choose your favorites. Though talking about the story once again, I should mention that the game is pretty, and the voice acting is fairly decent but nothing too special. Personally, I still think that Fire Emblem Echoes has the best voice acting in the series, but considering what the series has done so far, that's not really saying much.
Ah, you're up. About time.
But FE Warriors is serviceable, though it kinda seemed at times that some of the original voice actors just phoned in their performances.
Well, that's all the more reason to hurry to Ryoma.
I will mention though that there are full CG cutscenes in the game. They are well rendered and look good, giving some major moments that feel of excitement and awe that the story needed. The star of the show though I think is the soundtrack. In general, I absolutely adore Fire Emblem music. I mean, just listen to the sound, it's basically classic Fire Emblem with a J-rock vibe to it. As for my final thoughts though, I think this game has a great deal of potential. It is by no means bad, I had a great time, and even after this review, I will likely be playing this game between Mario Odyssey and Wolfenstein 2. So would I recommend this game to others? I would so for those who are already invested in the Fire Emblem franchise, and those who played and enjoyed Hyrule Warriors. If you have done so for both, then I would definitely recommend it for you, especially for Fire Emblem fans. It's basically a fan service game. This is a great title for quick bursts of gaming on the go, and personally I am glad to see Nintendo still working on the Warriors titles. And who knows, maybe we'll get to see Mario Warriors. I would love to see Luigi just tearing up toads or something. So with that done, what's next for our radar? Well, Mario Odyssey and Wolfenstein 2 recently came out, and we really want to compile an extremely in-depth review for both, and I mean really in-depth. And of course, there is still a lot to cover. So with that being said, please like, comment, and subscribe if you're new. Till then, have a great rest of the day or night, and take care.
The seasons they turn, winter to spring.